something really good. A hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where I try to educate real stories. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Tonight is April 8th, 2015, and I'm excited to have a new guest in the studio by the name of Theodore Steele. Theodore did 28 years flat in the penitentiary, and he's here tonight by the grace of God. He's been out 3 years. He'll be on parole for life, but he's willing to tell his story, to tell you how easy it was to get in trouble through having a difficult childhood, a childhood that I can relate to and many viewers can relate to when they lose their mother at a young age, and how he went through the trials and tribulations of life and ended up on the other side, the good side, out of prison, in a gospel group, singing praises to the Lord. He's been able to find a job. So many young people say you can't find a job, but he's found many jobs, most of them temporary, of course, because that's the way you have to get started. But he's found a job, and he's working, and he's married and doing well. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Theodore Steele. And Theodore, thank you for being willing to share your story.
Thank you for inviting me on your show, and I'm glad to be here to tell my story.
Okay, well, tell me what's going on, Theodore. You know, we like to start from the beginning on our show. And viewers, don't forget, at any time you can break in if you have a comment or statement to make or opinion or remark about the topic of this show. And periodically, the phone number will flash up on your screen. So, Theodore, let's start from the beginning. Did you come from just a normal childhood, which we call normal, with two parents in the home? Or just tell me about those first years that formed whatever attitude you had growing up in life.
Well, I come from a background of two parents. My mother, she was loving, kind, good woman, work hard, and she loved us. And I had like 10 siblings, 5 sisters, and it was 5 boys. And my daddy, he worked hard. He was a hard worker, He provided for us. He took care of us. He gave us the things that we needed. And we went to school, and we were taught to do the right things. But, when you get older, you want to make your own decisions and do things that you ain't supposed to do. So I wanted to make some decisions in my life at a young age when I should have just waited and been patient. I wanted everything right then, and I wanted it right there. And I lived a fast life. And that's what I think took my life into the dark side of the world where I was living in.
What do you think made you want to get it fast and get it in a criminal way? I mean, because there are choices. You could. I mean, in the community, you'll see hardworking people. Your parents were working hard, and then you see people doing wrong. So what do you think was in you? Did you have older brothers that were doing wrong, or what was influencing you?
Like my homeboys and stuff that was having money, and I seen how they was coming up and they was doing things, and I wanted some things too in my life, and I didn't want to wait for it. I wanted something to happen in my life.
Do you think anybody could have said anything to you at that age to stop you? I mean, like, if you're going to do 30 years, or would that have mattered to you when you're 12 and 13 years old, 14 years old?
Yeah, it would have mattered a whole lot to me. I needed that guidance.
You don't think your daddy or your mama told you? Because usually they say, boy, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah, they used to tell me don't run with so-and-so, or don't do this or don't do that. But, I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And so I ended up doing things that I ain't had no business doing.
So how old were you when you started doing wrong?
Well, when I started doing wrong, I think my life took a turn when my mother died. And I was like 14, and she had died of cancer. And so I kind of pretty much went wild after that. I started doing whatever I wanted to do.
Did
And
you were you mad at God? Did you hate life? Did you hate the world? Did you hate it because
I don't think
everybody else
I
had a
wasn't
parent and you
mad.
didn't, had a mother and you didn't? How'd that make you feel when you don't have a mother but everybody else does?
I felt kind of like alone, like my mama, by her being not there, being the backbone of the family, I felt like, why my mama? Out of everybody mama, why take my mama? And I really love my mom, and it kind of hurted me. And I became bitter, and I always used to fight all the time. And I used to wonder why was I always so angry? And then as I got older, I realized the reason why I was so angry inside. Because I had a lot of stuff inside of me that I didn't release out, and I wasn't expressing it. My feelings, my thoughts, things that needed to be expressed. And I held it in, and it just built up and built up. And whenever I got angry, I just let everything go. And I became very violent
Right.
at a young age.
So when she died, you were angry at the world and you would fight real easily. You were just angry.
Yeah, I was angry.
Did you try to take drugs to, mend the pain or deaden the pain at all? Or tell me what you started doing.
It seemed like more or less that I used and I drank to get stuff out of my mind. I wanted to forget about all the hurt, all the pain, all the stuff that I had seen in my life, all the things that I had went through at an early age. I used to see people just get shot down. And
what area was that? Were you in?
I was living in the Southwest, and it's still rough in the Southwest, but in the area where I come out of, Piney Point, wasn't nothing out there but hustlers and killers and murderers.
And where is Piney Point at?
It's Southwest Houston. It's over near Fondren and West Park. And it's an old black neighborhood that's been there a long time. And if you came out in the Point, and if you wasn't from the Point, if you didn't have your business straight, then you're going to get left out there, and you're going to be left in the street. But as long as you take care of your business, you respect the next man, you ain't had no problem. It was all about respect.
So, okay, so your mother died, and tell me the first situation that happened to you. You told me right before we went on, it was at T.H. Rogers Middle School.
Oh, at T.H. Rogers.
So tell me what happened.
I was 16 years old, and I used to jack for dope. And I had a lot of guys at school. We had a little clique back then, me and my brother and my cousin them, and we was jacking. But I had a mean streak, and I would love to just jack people all the time. That was my favorite thing. But I had jacked the wrong person. So this one person I jacked, I took some weed from him, and he told me, say, "You don't know who you messing with." I said, "Man, I don't care what you say. Give me this shit." I took it. So he say, "I'm gonna get you." And we get in a fight. And one thing led to another. We got suspended.
And back then, you're 16, it's a 3-day suspension for
3
both
days.
of you.
I got 3 days suspension.
And what's unusual, especially since I'm in the courthouse every day, is that the young man that was selling you the weed was a white guy.
Right.
He was a white guy. You were at T.H. Rogers off Voss. He was a white guy selling you some weed.
Right.
And, you try to jack him for it, but he ain't taking no jacking.
Nah,
so he gonna fight.
Yeah, he
and
tried to fight.
And let you know that my brother's gonna get you. So apparently he had an older brother.
Right, he did.
But back then, if you got in trouble in a fight, they suspended you for 3 days, and usually people got back friends or whatever. They didn't send you to jail like they do now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after that happened, what happened?
After 3 days later, I was going to the bus stop, and I looked up and I saw him, and he had something behind his back, and he had this other big guy with him, and he had something behind his back, but I didn't know what they had. So when he got within distance, he said, "There he is right there." And I said, "Hold up, man, can we talk this up? Because I don't know what they got."
Right.
I said, "Can we talk about, I'm trying to talk my way out of this. I don't know if they got a pistol behind their back or what." But the guy had aluminum bat. Mm-hmm. And at the time, he wasn't trying to do no talking. He hit me with aluminum bat in the side.
That's the older brother or the younger
older
one?
brother, the older brother. He went to Robert E. Lee, and he didn't even belong on the campus. He hit me with aluminum bat in the side, and the other one, his brother came behind me and put a belt behind my neck and was choking me. And he was trying to take me out. And I had a partner of mine, he came up out of nowhere named George, and he ran up and kicked the one with the bat off me, and that gave me time to get my wind. I looked up, and the guy was coming down, and he hit me in the head with the bat, and I grabbed it. Because the only thing I could think about is try to get the bat from him, because I don't want to get hit anymore. And I was thinking about my life. My life flashed in front of my eyes, and I took the bat from him, and he slipped. When he slipped, the only thing I could do was try to get my leg back out of fear for my life, and I hit him. And fell on the ground. I thought I just knocked him out, but he went into a coma, and they kept him on the machine for a while and stuff. And they took me to juvenile, and I stayed in juvenile until I went to trial. And when I finally went to trial and everything, smoke cleared, I beat the case.
Now, you actually had 12 jurors that decided the case, or how did you beat the case?
We went to trial.
You
We
actually
had
went to
12
trial.
jurors.
And you actually got on the witness stand and told what happened?
I told my story and I beat the case.
And did the boy tell his story, the boy that you had the original fight with?
Well, the officer got up, and he said he made a statement. The guy that it happened to, he was an off-duty cop. His dad was an off-duty cop.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway.
Oh, so these boys' daddy was a cop?
Yeah, his
These
daddy was
fighting, weed selling boys' daddy was a cop?
Yeah,
wow.
he was a cop. And,
But did the little boy who you had to fight with, that you jacked for the dope, that brought his brother that was in the fight, did he testify? Because he was a witness, he didn't die.
I don't remember him testifying, though.
Interesting. So how could his daddy testify? His daddy didn't see
His
it.
daddy didn't testify. He just made a statement in the courtroom.
So who testified as to what you did?
The principal.
Well, they didn't see it, did they?
They ran out there. Only thing they seen was a guy on the ground.
Okay.
But in Texas, hearsay is all
admissible, really.
Yeah, that's
it shouldn't be, but it is.
But that's what they convicted me for, hearsay. But they brought up my trial, my juvenile record in my trial, this trial.
Now, as a parent, since your mother was dead, who sat at the table with you besides the lawyer?
My family, some of my family members came, and I had an attorney. I had Johnny Albacias at the time was my attorney. He died and passed away, and he was a good attorney though. He was there. And
was he court appointed, or did your family buy?
No, my family they hired him.
Right, because in a juvenile setting, your mother, or father, or parent, or guardian can sit with you in the trial at the table. Yeah. Do you remember anybody sitting with you? I know it was a long time ago.
I don't remember. It was so long ago. I don't remember that part. I don't remember who was all there.
So you were charged, went to trial for manslaughter, but you got up and told your story, and the jury acquitted you. They found you not guilty.
I beat the case.
Okay, and after you beat that case, you're free, so now you can do right. So what do you do?
I'm going to tell you, my attorney told me, when I beat that case, he told me don't never come back to Houston.
Right,
and
because they're going to be on your butt, because that was a cop's kid.
Yeah, he told me, he said, don't never come back to Houston. And I remember them words to this day, and I never will forget them.
So what'd you do? Did you leave?
I left Houston. But I ended up coming back after my brother got killed, walking down the street.
Well, let's talk about you leaving. So you leave at 16, well, I guess 17, and where do you go?
I go to Dallas, and I go live with my aunt in Dallas.
And that's your mother's sister, your dead mother's sister?
Yeah, one of her sisters. And
okay.
I lived in Dallas for a while, and I stayed there with her. And I was going to school, playing football, and I was doing the right thing, working part-time. Had a part-time job because I wanted to work while I was there, staying with her. And I stayed out of trouble. I didn't get in any trouble the whole time I was in Dallas. None.
Well, how'd you get kicked out of school?
Oh, I didn't get kicked out of school in Dallas.
Not in South Oak Cliff?
No.
Okay.
No, never.
So
no.
So what stopped you from going there? Did you graduate? I mean, what happened?
No, I wanted to do me,
And what does that mean?
I wanted fast money again. I went back to the old ways. I wanted that fast money.
Did you do it in Dallas at your aunt's house, or did you leave her house?
When I left Dallas and came back to Houston, that's when I got back on the same old road, the same old path. And I started going back down them same old roads. And I ended up getting locked up for this or locked up for that. In and out of jail.
And what kind of crimes what was your crime of choice? Was it still jacking people?
No. I was burglarizing, stealing cars. I was robbing. I was just doing wrong. Anything that was make money, then I was into it. And if my homeboys, they was into some moving a bunch of stuff, then I was into it too, because we all gonna have money. We all gonna get paid. Back then.
You weren't worried about going to prison?
No.
Why
not? Not then.
Because you didn't know anybody in prison? You thought you were too slick to go to prison?
I had never been to prison at that time. I had never been. I never knew what prison was like. I had been locked up as a juvenile. That wasn't no prison.
So, you go to school in juvenile. Yeah. You locked up. It's prison, but when your mama's dead, you're not worried about. You don't have nobody to go see.
Yeah, it ain't like being in prison. Prison. When they say prison, it's prison. You in prison. You can't do nothing. But I didn't never worry about it then because I had never experienced it. But now that I experience it and know what it's like to be incarcerated when you're stripped of everything, your family, your loved ones, those that you love, and then when you come to see the corruption that's inside of the walls with your own eyes, not somebody told you, but what you saw with your own eyes, and it make you wonder, do you want to live like this, or do you want to live?
Right.
That's just like life and death.
Right.
Is you gonna choose death or you gonna choose life?
Right.
I choose life today.
Right.
Because life is eternity.
Right.
With him that you believe in.
Right.
That's what I choose today.
Well, that's where you are today, but we want you to take us through the journey, so we still have 45 minutes.
Okay.
So let's go through the journey. So I'm trying to take you step by step. So we get back to Houston. You're still a teenager. Tell me what you're doing leading up to the first time you go to jail.
The first time I go back to jail.
Now, are you still a teenager, or are you an adult by then?
I'm an adult by then. By then, I'm an adult.
Who are you living with?
I had came back to Houston, and I was living with my auntie them for
Another
a little
one
while.
of your mother's sisters?
Yeah, but for a little while. But then I got a job, and I got my own place. You know what I'm saying? I'm 18 then. Got my own place. So I got my apartment. I get my cousin to co-sign for me, and I'm out there doing my thing. But I'm doing good. 18 years old, got my own apartment, my own car. I had a motorcycle, got a motorcycle. I had a bunch of friends back then, you know what I'm saying? And we was enjoying life. I'm barbecuing every day, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I'm enjoying life, that's what it's all about. But I still was missing something in my life. I still felt emptiness. Even after my brother had been killed.
And how old were you when he was killed?
I was about 18, 19, maybe 18, 19.
So when you were in Dallas, did he get killed while you were here?
He got killed when I was in Dallas.
So that's what made you come back?
That's why I came back.
Okay, and how did he get killed?
He got killed walking down the street. And
was he older or younger?
He was 1 year older than me. He got killed walking down the street, and a car just pulled up and shot his head off.
Wow.
And they never found out who killed him.
Really? So he was assassinated?
Yeah, he was killed. But nobody could prove it, who done it. But by the grace of God, I'm still alive to tell my story.
And so he was 1 year old, and when he got killed, you came back to a funeral and decided, I'm just gonna stay.
Yeah, my family.
Now, was he walking around in y'all's neighborhood, that Piney Point neighborhood?
Yeah, he was in the neighborhood.
So he was with friends. I mean, he was.
No, he was by himself when he got killed.
But he's in the community he was raised in, where
right,
people knew him.
Right.
He wasn't in a strange community.
No.
So wow, so that was somebody that was an intentional hit then.
Yeah.
Was he doing the same things you were doing?
He did some wrong, I'm not gonna say he was no angel, he did some wrong in his life, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't deserve to die like that.
Yeah, that was cold.
Oh, nobody deserved to die like that.
Right. And nobody, the streets weren't talking. There were no rumors as to who killed him?
No.
Wow. Did you try to look for who killed him?
To be honest with you, I had intentions to look for him. But, my other brother set me down. He said, "Say, man, I'm going to tell you something, man. Whatever you do in life, you can't bring Jimmy back. So just let it go." And I thought about that, and I said, "You're right, man. I can't bring him back. I could never bring him back from the grave.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can do, I can make a difference with my life."
Right. Okay, so you're 18, you try to make a difference, you're working, you got an apartment, but you still got this emptiness because now you've had two major losses at a teenage age, which is tender. And that can take a lot out of a person. So was the emptiness that, or how were you, I know at 18 you didn't know what the emptiness was exactly other than the pain. So since you were working and trying to make it work out, why did you go back to a life of crime?
It was the only thing that I ever knew, really. I grew up in it.
Mm-hmm. So while working, you still go start jacking, or you just quit working and decide just to jack? How'd you work that some people work and still do wrong on the side. So I'm just trying to see, what was your...
I was working 2 jobs and still doing wrong.
Wow.
And I just liked the money,
Right.
I'm going to be honest, I liked the money. And so...
Working 2 jobs and doing wrong.
If that's what it took, back then, I didn't care. But now today, I don't think like that.
I know, but we're not today yet.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to where you were thinking when you were 18
Yeah.
because we want someone to learn from your experiences. So still doing wrong, and how did you get caught, though, so you can go to, to get these long prison sentences?
How I got this time, I was using drugs then. I had started using cocaine,
How old were you when
drinking.
you started doing that?
I was about 20-something. About 20, about 23, 22, something.
Now, is this powder cocaine or crack?
Powder cocaine. I started out with powder cocaine. Then I started using crack. But I wasn't hooked on it or nothing, but I just did it to try it. But I liked it, you know what I'm saying? And I started drinking heavily.
Could you hold a job when you started doing cocaine and drinking?
To be honest with you, no.
I didn't think so.
When you start doing cocaine, you can't hold nothing.
Why not?
Because your mind it ain't right. Whenever you using drugs or you using alcohol, your mind will never be right. Like a lot of youngsters today that's on drugs or drinking a lot, they'll never be able to function to their full capacity because of drugs or because of alcohol. It destroys the mind, and I know it did me.
Right.
And I know today that drinking it's not good for you.
Right.
It's not. Because it affects your body, your liver, and it destroys you in a period of time. So I know now what I didn't know then.
Absolutely.
Right.
But we're not there yet.
Okay.
We're still back when you were 22 and 23. Get into that mindset. I know
Okay.
you're strong now and you've overcome, but we
Okay.
want people to journey with you through
Okay.
that. Okay, so let's go back in time to when you're in your 20s. You're doing drugs, you're drinking, you can't hold a job no more because you were holding 2 jobs. And so what are you doing? Do you start robbing to satisfy your habit? Are you robbing to pay your rent? I mean, how does this go down?
I think it's like this. When you start drinking and start doing drugs, even the more drugs you do, the more money you're gonna need.
Mm-hmm.
The more drugs you take, the more you're going to want.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in that period, in that time in my life, where the more I was doing, the more money I needed. Mm-hmm. The more coke I did, the more I wanted. Mm-hmm. And I was just repeating that cycle. And it took money because I needed drugs.
Right.
And I liked it to have a good time, and it take money to do that. And I was doing it unlegally.
Right, and were you able to maintain your apartment, or did you have to live on the street, or with family, or a girl, or how'd you have to do it?
I never lived on the street, never.
Okay, that's good.
Never.
So you could always keep your roof over your head.
Yeah, I always had a roof over my head.
Okay, so you weren't so cracked out that every dime you had, you could still put some money aside for some rent.
Already, you got to have a roof.
A lot of people don't. That's why they're on the street, because every dime goes to crack. You know that.
Yeah, but I ain't never was on crack like that.
Right, okay, so you had some mind control.
Right.
Okay, so tell me what you were doing and what kind of lifestyle you were leading and how you first got arrested. Tell us about that first, what led up to that
kind of
first
lifestyle I was leading. I was living a destructive life. I was young, I was wild, and I had an attitude. I didn't care. I didn't care about nobody or nothing. All I was thinking about was self. A lot of times when we think about self, we really hurt ourselves.
Right.
Instead of the people and we hurting our loved ones. Mm-hmm. And I was living a type of life that had I not went to prison, I probably would have got killed.
Right, so tell me exactly what you were doing.
I was hustling.
Okay.
I was hustling.
Okay, and what does that mean?
I was hustling.
Robbing, stealing, and how did you get caught to go to prison?
I was robbing.
Okay.
I started robbing.
And did you get caught in a robbery? Is that the first case?
I got caught in a robbery case, the first case I ever caught. Me and my cousin, we got high, and we did a robbery.
Okay. Did y'all like plan it, like I'm gonna go get that house down the street, or I know Miss Jane, or was just the first person you saw? How did you do it?
We were drinking, and we had went to the mall. So we jacked the first person we met.
In the parking lot or in the mall?
In the parking lot.
Okay, so you saw somebody walk into their car. Describe it for me.
We jacked them and took their car.
Okay.
And
so you left them standing outside and just took their keys and took their car?
Took their car. No, we took them. He took them too.
Oh, you took them too. So what'd you do? Told them to move over?
No, he told them to move over. I just riding. So
Okay.
I jumped in the car with him. And so we left. When we leave, we rob them and stuff, take their jewelry and money. And we get over there to this building. The laws pull up. When
And are the
law-
people still with y'all?
Yeah, when the laws pull up, I tell my cousin, I say, man, that's the law. He tell me, oh, I ain't running. I say, well, that's on you then. I'm gone. So I bail. When I bail out, I think about it. I say, now, if I leave him in the car, he going to tell it on me.
Yeah.
He going to tell it on me because they going to beat it out of him.
Right.
They going to beat everything they need to know out of him.
Well,
And that's what they did.
right.
So when I bailed out, I thought about it, and I fired at him and shot the windows out. Because that's how I was rolling, you know.
You shot the windows out of whose car? The cop's
patrol car.
Okay.
I shot the windows out of the patrol
When they pulled up.
when they pulled up,
Okay.
and I got away.
Okay.
So I got away.
But did he get away?
No, he got caught. When he got caught, all I could hear was a bunch of hollering, and they were beating him for every inch of his life.
Mm.
They beat him so severely, it sounded like a lion was roaring.
Wow.
They beat him.
So you didn't go far. You could close enough to where you could hear him getting that
Yeah, I could hear him.
that ass whooping.
I could hear
Okay.
him.
Okay.
So I get away, and the next day, this how bad they wanted me. The next day after the crime, they took him out of the jailhouse, out of Harris County, put him in a patrol car to point me out.
To ride you through the neighborhood.
Yep, that's how bad they wanted me.
And he did it.
He did it.
Because he was scared to death. He was scared they were going to kill him.
They fired a shot by his head
They-
while he was in the car.
Wow.
And, you know, that's enough to make anybody
That's
talk.
enough to make
But
anybody talk.
I
yeah.
would have never ratted on him because I'm not no rat.
Would you let him shoot you or what?
They would have had to shoot me.
Oh, okay. So you just, because you had that I don't give a
I'm
damn care.
just-
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, I remember one time I had got caught in a car theft. Me and one of my cousins, he got away. Matter of fact, to this day, he's still away because
He never got
I
caught.
didn't give him up. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I went down, you know. But I would have never ratted on him. You know what I'm saying? But maybe it happened for a reason.
So, but you're still describing to me the first time you went to prison.
Right.
The cousin got beat to death. He went through the neighborhood in the patrol car and pointed you out. And did they find you that day?
Oh, yeah, they found me.
And so they put you in the same patrol car as him or a separate one?
No, we wasn't in the same car.
And they beat you to death too?
No, they ain't beat me.
Okay.
They ain't beat me.
So they find you walking down the street. They go inside a house.
No,
How
they came into the apartment where I was at, and they kicked the door in.
Did they have a warrant or they just
They didn't have nothing.
They just
They just
vigilante
came- they just
vigilante
came in.
people. Okay, they gonna
First
get
thing
you.
they asked me, what was the pistol? I say, what pistol? I don't know what you're talking about. And they say, probable cause, attempted capital murder. After that, I didn't say nothing. They took me in and they booked me.
Okay. And so did you go to trial or did you plead guilty on that crime?
I went to trial.
Really?
Yeah,
And what happened?
trial. They gave me a life sentence.
Okay. So that your
Aggravated robbery.
first so on your first case you got a life sentence.
That's the first case, but I had another pending case that they gave me. They brought me back up. This is how they do it. They brought me back in front of the
Because
judge.
the attempted capital murder has the lower case number.
Right.
So that's the one from you shooting the car
Right.
out.
Okay, this is what I'm finna tell you. The case that I got the most time was the robbery. I got the life sentence for the robbery. But for the attempted capital murder, they came to me with a second, you know, when they told me about they had convicted me for robbery first. I got the time for the robbery.
Which robbery? Was it that robbery or a
That
different
robbery, that
Okay.
robbery, that robbery. That's a robbery.
So they tried you separately.
yeah.
But you know you could if it's the same transaction, you could have been tried for both of them at the same time, so it wasn't no stacking.
But that's what
or
they
anything.
did. They were gonna try to stack it. He told me, say, I tell you what, the judge said me just like this. He said, I tell you what, if you go to trial for this the capital murder, we gonna guarantee you a life sentence and stack it with your other life. I said, I tell you what, give me what you offer me. Give me 20 years and run a CC. I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed for 20 years with that.
And did you hire a lawyer that time, or did you have a court-appointed lawyer?
I had a court appointed that time.
Okay. So the trial, so you didn't go to trial. Now, what made you go to trial on that case when you know you had done it? You didn't think they had enough evidence? or what?
Well, the reason why I went to trial is because I wanted to make them pay.
Who was them?
the state. I wanted to make them pay for it. I'm not gonna just go there and cop out. They didn't have no evidence on me saying that I had did robbery. They didn't have no. They didn't even find a pistol.
Right. What did
It
they
was
have?
pure hearsay. It was like.
But what about the people who y'all jacked for the jury? They come to court and say that you would have won.
They could say my word against theirs.
Well, obviously they got jacked though, because their car got found somewhere.
Right.
So their word might have a little more than yours because you didn't lose nothing. They did. So
Right.
somebody did it.
Right.
And your cousin was the one that was there.
Well, he told it
and
on
he
me.
told it
Yeah,
on you.
He told on me.
So they identified you maybe because he said it. I don't know if y'all had masks
Yeah, but
on.
that was hearsay.
Well, I'm just saying, if they testified that they saw you in their car when they were doing it, that's not hearsay. That's eyewitness. They saw you take their stuff if you didn't mask up, right? I mean, if I take something from you and I see you, and and you see me,
Right.
I mean, that's not hearsay.
Right.
Hearsay is what you heard somebody say, but you don't have any independent evidence of it.
Right.
But direct evidence is when somebody said he's the one, he and his cousin, both of those are the ones that pushed us out of our car or took our stuff. If they saw you, that's not
Right.
hearsay. That's direct evidence. Hearsay would be a cop saying that these people got jacked and they said it was them. That's hearsay. When someone testifies to what somebody else said.
Well, one cop, he made a statement that he saw me at the scene of the crime in pitch dark.
Well, he was
But
lying.
I know he was lying.
Right. Well, for some reason, police officers do a lot of lying to help their case when the facts are enough.
Right.
Sometimes the facts are, I mean, if y'all jacked them with no masks on and they found them, they ain't hurt, they can identify y'all, that's enough.
Right.
And that's not hearsay. Like I said, the cop part, he tried to play like he saw you at night just to add more fuel to the fire.
Right.
But
That's how they do
the
it.
jury convicted you because the people said it was you. And the people might have been so scared they didn't see you or didn't recognize you, but you were in the car with them. And so they probably, what's difficult for a lawyer is that if I have a client and those are the facts, I know the jury's gonna give them life. You understand what I'm saying? Because I've been down this road a long time. So I would probably tell them if I could, let's take 20 years. But it's your choice.
Right.
I don't make my clients take a plea. I'm not a plea lawyer. But I tell them how a trial's gonna go down. I've had over 150 trials, so I know how they're gonna go down. You see what I'm saying? But if somebody gets up there scared and their car has been vandalized and they were taken from a scene and they gonna show how petrified they are on the scene and they say it was you and your cousin got beat up and caught right there in their car, that's not theirs, that's gonna go down that you're gonna be found guilty.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because it ain't like you're getting found in another car, you're getting found in their car.
Right.
And they don't know you, there's no association. So I'm just saying those kind of cases, there's gonna be, so a lot of times on those cases, you will try to make someone take cop a plea because you know that a jury will give them life. Because people get the most time for aggravated robbery. Because society, I am personally afraid, and everybody in society is afraid if, I'm working all day, I'm hustling to get over here, and somebody just come and just take my stuff that I'm working for, I'm scared if they do it to me, they'll do it to somebody else, they'll do it to my daughter, they'll do it to somebody that's less vulnerable than me. I might be tired, it might be my time to go. But you don't want your daughter to get jacked who's driving too. So people are afraid of jackers. You see what I'm saying? Because jackers jack randomly. As lawyers, we get better results with murders because usually most murders, the people know each other, they have an ongoing feud, and once you vet it out in a week of a trial and everybody tells their side of the story, well, first of all, the dead man can't talk, so their side don't come clear unless there were some witnesses. But if you testify as to what happened in the feud, say like when you did with the kid that you had to fight with, well, then the jurors sitting back saying, well, we're not really scared of him, that was just between them. It's not random. You see what I'm saying? Right. You're not gonna just go and just start shooting people like that. But but robberies are like that. People just rob wherever they are. It's a crime of opportunity. So everybody's scared of kids with guns, and they will give you a lot of time. So no lawyers want those cases. You're not gonna hear of the great lawyers in Houston that are always on TV, the Garrett's and all them doing no aggravated robberies. They're not gonna do them. If you can choose the cases you take, you're not gonna take that because those are losers. Because everybody's scared of robbers and thieves. Everybody in Houston's been broken into their cars, stealing. So people will max you out because of what's happened to them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So people are scared of those. But they're not as afraid. I mean, people are scared of people who murder people. Don't get me wrong, but you'll find a lot of different results in murders. Not guilties. They thought it was self-defense, 20 years. But in robberies, and that's what hurts me when young people jack, because they say, well, it's my first offense, I should get probation. The district attorney's office doesn't even offer probation for aggravated robbery. You can get it by law, but they're not going to offer it to you. So that means you got to go to trial. And what people don't understand, what you understand because you've been in the system long enough, is that the DAs accept charges, they prosecute in the court, and they're the only people that can dismiss a plea bargain. Judges are the referees.
That's true.
Judges do not make time. You can't plea bargain with a judge. A lot of times clients, when I used to do a lot of court appointments, would write the judge because I couldn't slap the DA upside the head and give them what they want. You see what I'm saying? The DAs represent the victims. And when people are scared, the DAs call them before they plea bargain and say, how would you feel? How do you feel he should be punished? This is his criminal record. How do you feel he should be punished? Most people say the maximum, which is life. And so the DAs are working for them. And so when they plea bargain with your lawyer, they have to do what their client said, which is the victim, maximum. So
Right.
you're saying 20. So they're not going to go back and say, well, I gave him 20. I didn't care about you getting jacked and guns in your face and they took your stuff. I'm just going to give them 20. That's not their job. And that's what people have to understand. That's not their job. The only thing you can do when you get charged with a crime is go to trial. The way that our system has been set up is the DAs represent the victims, the defense lawyer represents the defendant, the jury decides the facts, and the judge is the referee of the lawyers. That's the way the system is. So that's what young people need to understand, and that's one of the reasons why I do this show, because people say, well, I'm going to talk to the judge. It's illegal for you to talk to the judge. It has to be both sides there. The judge is refereeing the two parties. One person can't talk to the judge by themselves. That's called ex parte communication. You can't do that.
The DA gave me an offer, right? Came back to the back where I was at, and they offered me 40 years. And I was like, this first time down,
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
40 years.
That's too much.
I ain't
Now,
never
if,
been to
if
prison.
someone offers you 40 years, you got to go and take a trial. You got to take it to trial.
Yeah, I had to go to trial.
You gotta go to
So
trial.
when she came
That's
back
not
and she
reasonable.
said 40 years,
That's
I'm
not
like, 40 years? I say, 40 years?
That's a lot.
I say, well, what's the next sentence?
You ain't killed nobody.
No.
Right.
And then she say, like, the max.
Right.
I say, the max?
The people were mad and the cops were mad. So that was the problem you had.
Right.
And so some cases like that, and lawyers hate getting them because it's non-negotiable.
Right.
And from a victim standpoint or a defendant standpoint, especially in your 20s, you've been in jail for 6 months or a year now, you sobered up, you can think clearly, you realize you've made a grave mistake. And you probably won't do this again. But the victims are still mad. They're still petrified. They're still scared to go. I mean, that totally affects people's lives when they get traumatized like that, because they keep thinking about how they could have gotten killed. Then they don't trust people anymore. People go through a lot of changes. And you know the cops are mad because you shot their windows out. And they could have been killed. So you know they wanted you to get the max. So those kind of cases you have to go to trial on.
Right.
But young people need to understand, if you got that I don't give a damn attitude, you're going to get some I don't give a damn time.
Right.
Which is life. Right. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get that kind of time. And it's hard to negotiate. So at 56, I don't like those kind of clients. You see what I'm saying? Because you can't pay me enough money. Most people don't have no money to pay you for a lawyer. So why would I take that when I could take a simple, burglary where I can get the boy probation if it's the first time? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Why would I take something where somebody's getting life? Why would I do that to myself? And that's what people don't understand. Why people will call me, Miss King, help me. I mean, emotionally, I'm gonna have a heart attack if I have to deal with that. You see what I'm saying? 'Cause
Right.
it's too much weeping, because parents are weeping, aunts, people who love them, saying, but he's really a good person. Yeah, but I gotta go to court about what he did that day to that person that's totally affected their life. They might have divorced. Couples get divorced behind getting jacked because of women will hate the men for not protecting them. You should have took a bullet for me. You don't know what victims go through. And so I do, because I was a prosecutor for 3 years. So I know, I've talked to them. And I've seen them. I've seen them break up. One moved back to Michigan. They might have gotten jobs here as young couples, and they get jacked, and, girl get raped. Her husband couldn't help her. They break up. She go back home. Everything's over. Their whole life is over, as they see it, behind young people doing stuff. I've had those kind of cases, and they tough. I've had them as a defense lawyer. And the mother's wondering, why can't, but it's his first time. Yeah, but she got raped by kids she doesn't know, who were jacking her husband in the parking lot and made him go up into the apartment to get the ATM card. And they saw her waiting for her man, half naked, and they decided they just gonna take her.
Mm.
It's hard to negotiate that kind of stuff. And it's hard to talk to the parents. So anyway, so I digress. So those are the cases you got that gave you all that time.
Right.
So you did 28 years on a life sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get paroled?
Well,
Because on life, what year was
by
that?
the grace of God,
Because right now, if you do life, you got to do at least 30 years.
yeah,
Is that what your life was back then, or was it 15 life?
75. I had 75 years. They gave me a 75-year sentence, aggravated.
Wow. So you're supposed to do 30 years before you get out. If you get 75 years, the minimum before you can be paroled is doing 30 flat years. What year was this? Do you remember?
I got convicted in 1985
Oh, okay,
in
85. That's why.
October the 12th.
Okay, well that's why I don't think that 30 years was in place then. When I
I don't know
became
if they had passed that.
No, because I became a lawyer in '92, and life was 15 years. You were eligible for parole at 15 years. Not that you're gonna get out, but that's the first time you could talk to somebody. Was
Well,
at
when
15
they
years.
when
Did you
they
talk to someone at 15 years?
no, I couldn't talk to nobody until I do 20 flat. They told me that when I first got
Wow.
signed. I knew that I was gonna have to do 20 flat from Jump Street before I even come up.
Ooh.
So I went in prison with an attitude that
Ooh. I'm
by
gonna die
all
here.
means necessary, it's about surviving,
Ooh, that's
whatever it
cold.
takes.
Ooh, I bet you. And where did they first send you when you went to prison?
When I first went to prison, I went to Huntsville. Went to it was laid back, a lot
So
of
you actually
convicts.
you usually go to Huntsville Diagnostic to decide where to send you, but they
At
met
the rodeo,
you
where
stayed there.
we used to do the rodeo and stuff, the old rodeo in Huntsville. That's why I went.
In '85,
At the
okay.
Walls. I was at the Walls.
Walls Unit. Wow.
It was laid back, because a lot of old school people that did time, they know how to do time. Back then it was a little fighting and a little squabbling here and there. That's anywhere you go when you're in a prison. But by me being a young guy in an environment, wherever they sent me at, I knew I had to do the time because I had did the crime.
Right.
So I had to do what I had to do. If they sent me to wherever, New Waverly or wherever, I had to go.
Right.
But I did the time. The time didn't do me. By the grace of God, I can really say that God brought me through the storms. It's just like Daniel being thrown in a lion den. If I'm thrown in a lion den with a lion, and I know that this lion gonna devour me up, then the only thing I could do is to take care of myself.
Right.
And that's what I did.
How did you do that?
Thinking, praying.
When did you find God in this process? Because you said
I knew God before I went to prison. I knew God. I knew of God, but I didn't know Him like I know Him now. And when my life really changed is when I seen my life flash in front of me, and God showed me.
And when did it flash in front of you? Was a particular something going on? Or?
I could have been dead a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
But by the grace of God, I'm still alive. But I saw my life flash in front of me. Well, I knew that if I didn't do the right things, that I end up dead. I seen a lot of guys die down there in the time that I was down there, young guys.
In Huntsville?
No, different units. I've been to different units.
Okay.
I was on McConnell unit. I was on probably one of the worst units in the system.
Which was McConnell?
The McConnell unit was probably the worst. It was a lot of stabbing, a lot of killing. When you go into an environment like that, when it's always riding, there's a lot of killing, your life is put in jeopardy.
Right.
And they know that. When they stick you in one of them prisons like that, and they know it's a lot of ride, a lot of killing, it's been officers get killed there at McConnell unit.
Where's McConnell? I've heard of it.
It's in Beeville.
Beeville, okay.
It's in
I've been to
Beeville.
Beeville, okay.
And so this was one of the roughest prisons in the system. But God brought me through all that, and He showed me.
Did you have to do a lot of fighting?
When I first got there.
Now, what's where first got there? 28 years could be first got there as 5 years. I don't know. I mean, 28 years is a long time.
The thing about prison, sometimes you have to prove your manhood because somebody might try you. But if you stand your ground and be a man and do what you had to do, you ain't gonna have no problems. And when I came in prison when I was young, I was wild and I used to love to fight because it wasn't nothing to me because I grew up in the streets. Right. I fought all my life. And it didn't make no difference, and I didn't care who I fight. If you disrespected me, then it's on. It's on. You whoop me, I'll whoop you, or you kill me, I'll kill you, and that's how I grew up. Right. But once I gave my life to God.
But when was that? I'm just trying to make you remember. When was it during this prison experience that you finally said, "I'm tired of fighting. I'm gonna give my life"?
Now,
to God.
You know what happened to me. What really made me see that God had a purpose for my life. I had gotten in a fight with this big guy. I'm talking. He was like 6'3", 290 pounds, and it happened on the basketball court. I used to play basketball all the time.
And what unit was this?
This was in Huntsville.
Okay.
But the guy, he got mad. We was playing basketball, and he elbowed me, and he called me the N-word.
So he wasn't an N?
He was what?
He wasn't black?
No.
Okay.
And when he did that, I lit into him like a bumblebee. And he took off running. And so the officer that was inside the building, he saw what happened. And I knew the officer because he was from Houston. He was a guard. And I've been knowing him for a while, you know, in the prison system. And he came up to me and he said, man, I seen what happened. He said, I know I got to take y'all to the sergeant, man. I said, man, you can let that go, man. He said, no, I got to take y'all to the sergeant because if anything happened after this, then I'll be responsible for it. Sometimes officers, guards in the system, they let you fight, but then sometimes they won't because if anybody get killed, then they'll be responsible.
Later, if they get killed later.
But they
and other people saw the fight.
Yeah, and other people saw it.
So it was going to be some.
So he said we had to go and to the sergeant. So we went to the sergeant. The sergeant actually, he said, "Is it over with?" Say, man, it's over with. All we was doing was playing ball. I jumped up in the air and my elbow accidentally hit him in the eye. And so the sergeant kind of laughed. He said, "Yeah, right." And he said, "Is it over with?" Said, "Yeah." Okay, but I would need y'all to sign up.
So did the white guy say it was over too?
Yeah, he said it was over. And it was over. And but back then they had a waiver like you have to sign. If you have a conflict with anyone, you have to sign these papers to make sure that everything's over with. Because if someone come back and do something to the other person, then it'll be on them. So we had to sign these papers, and then we went back to the cell. But it was over with. But sometimes in those situations, they have to happen. You know, not everybody, but sometimes things just happen for a reason. But you just have to do what you got to do. And now.
So did that experience have anything to do with your transformation?
Oh, this other officer that know me personally, that seen me grow in the prison system as I came out young and got older, he pulled me to the side. He said, "Let me tell you something, man." I say, "What is it, man?" He say, "Steele, if you don't take this into consideration, if you don't slow down from doing what you're doing, you're going to end up either killing somebody or somebody going to kill you in here or you're going to get some more time. And you'll never see your family ever again." He said, "Do you want that?" I said, "No, I don't want that. I want to see my family. I want to get free." So after that happened, that's when my life changed. I gave my life to God, and I told God, I said, I want to be used by you. I want to be a vessel. I don't want to stay the rest of the remaining of my life behind bars. I don't want to have to see this every day, in and out. I don't want to have to tell my nieces and nephews that I'm not coming home, that y'all will never see me again because of something I did while I was locked up. Some guys get locked up, and then they have conflicts down in prison and they end up stabbing somebody and they never get out. Young guys, old guys. One guy, he said he had stabbed a dude, three or four dudes. He ended up doing back-to-back sentence because once you go down there and you stab somebody, you get more time, you get resentenced. And I didn't want that to happen in my life. So I told God, I said, "God, I want to get out of this place and I want to be able to help somebody, to do something with my life that I might be a blessing to somebody else to give back. Because if not, I end up dying down here." And then when I did that, that's when my life took a turn.
Wow. Something as simple as him telling you don't want to get another life sentence on top of the one you're already doing.
Right.
And you need to think about seeing your family. But sometimes people can tell you that over and over again, but it takes that light bulb has to go off in your head.
It was like I needed that though, because I was young and I was wild.
Angry.
Wild, yeah.
Well, while in prison, did you ever get any medication for your pain or for your, sometimes they even call it PTSD when you have a lot of young people. People die when you're young because, that's a traumatic experience.
No, I never used that. I seen people down there that be so aggravated that they had to take them and hold them down and inject them with some medicine. And then the guys that they did like that back then in the days, they were never the same. You know, they were affected mind, and they'll lose their common sense, you know, and they become incompetent.
So you didn't want that.
I didn't want that, so I straightened up.
So
And I started going to school.
Oh, in
I started going to school in there. I took a trade, and I got my
What'd you learn?
GED.
You got your GED?
Got my
Wow.
GED. I started going to school. I took auto mechanics, and I started doing mechanic work, and I took small business course. I did whatever I could. I got in art school. I'm an artist. I learned to draw, paint, and everything. I just started doing everything I could. After he told me that, I said, you know what? I need to get educated. I need to educate myself while I'm here instead of reach out doing the thing that I used to do. I need to really look at my life. And I want to tell anybody that's out there watching, young people, prison is not the answer. Get an education. Stay in school. Drugs, alcohol, that's the worst thing you can ever pick up. If you pick up anything, pick up a book. Pick up something that's going to help you learn, give you wisdom and knowledge and understanding about life in general.
Well, you got 6 minutes, so for some reason nobody's called in. I don't know if our phones are working tonight, but you got 6 minutes. You can tell people whatever you want to tell them.
Oh, okay.
Because I like your title tonight, From Gangsta to Grace. You've been in the street and living that gangster life, and now you have been spared by the grace of God.
Yes, ma'am.
When you went to that last parole hearing, what do you think you said to let them bless you with freedom? Because you could still be there now.
When I went there, God was with me. I had a L51. I had got a L51.
What's that?
That's when you finna go home. When you know you finna go home. And I felt good knowing that, you know. And when I went in there, and they told me that I'm on my way, I felt like a burden was lifted off me, you know, like a weight that was on me all my life had been lifted. You ever felt like that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I felt like I felt free.
Wow.
Even though I was still incarcerated, I felt free.
Wow. Wow. You felt free. And how, since you've been in prison for 28 years, how did you find family members that would let you parole to them? I mean, who was left?
You know what?
I
had one thing. I had a strong family foundation. The whole time I was there, I was in contact with my family. But I met other people while I was incarcerated that were Christian people, and I wrote to them, and they wrote to me, and we shared the word of God, and we strengthened one another, and they prayed for me, and I even had some friends of mine to, you know, come see me, you know. Come see me down there. Cairo, I got in the Kairos.
The Cairo program.
Yeah, the Kairos program, and I met a lot of people, good people.
Now, where did you participate in the Kairos program?
I was at the McConnell unit.
At the McConnell unit?
At the McConnell unit. And see, by me being a singer, I sung in I was in a band, and we sung at a lot of Kairos events, and we did music. And most of the time, that's how I met a lot of people, too, in my music. And I was in a quartet group. And I'm in a group now called...
Talk about that. We got 4 minutes. Tell us about the good things you're doing now.
Okay, right now, we got a group called the Gospel Sound of Truth, and we getting exposure. We getting out there. We putting our first CD out, and the guys are very excited. And we've been going to doing other shows and stuff, and going to other churches, and we just building. Is it a
church-based group, or just the guys got together? Is it like through a specific church that you go to?
Well, the leader of the group, he's a pastor.
Okay.
And he has a church. And matter of fact, for Easter, I sung at their church.
Okay.
Yeah, and I sung 2 numbers.
What church is that?
He got a church called Resurrection.
Okay.
It's off of Belford.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a good church. He just started opening up. But he's a good friend of mine. His name is James Chapman, and he's a good friend of mine. And we going forward for Jesus.
Now, who taught you to sing? Because in all your troubles growing up as a teenager, you don't talk about standing on the corner singing bebop. So you didn't talk about singing in a church like a lot of people do. So where did you find you had that gift? While in prison?
No, all my family sing.
You're coming
pretty
from a
much
singing family.
all my family sing. I grew up singing.
Okay.
But when I got in prison, I got real serious about it because I met some of the most talented people that you could ever meet. There's a lot of talent that's locked up. And I wish I could reach out and help a lot of guys that's not able to get out right now, that's
Right.
still in prison, that are hurting. And so this is why I got with another brother, and he got a ministry he started, Reverend Jones. And we go inside of the prison, and we go minister to guys that are on other units. And I've been going in, matter of fact, tomorrow, I'm going in another unit to minister with the singing I do, and he gonna preach, but I do like gospel music, and I'm gonna tell him my story about how God has blessed me and how He's keeping me out here. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and
How do you stay strong? You've been out 3 years, so how did you stay strong not to drink or smoke since that was your life before you went in?
I tell you, God is first, and I got a good woman by my side.
And
Her
that's
name
hard
is
to
Lisa,
do.
my fiance. She's a
Lisa
good woman.
Lewis, and she's in the
Yeah.
studio tonight.
Yeah,
She's just
she's-
watching it. She's watching
She's
the
a good woman.
broadcast.
She's a good woman, and I really love her with all my heart.
Wow.
She's wonderful.
Wow, now that's a blessing to meet someone that you really
Yeah.
click with, you love, and you can be friends and lovers with. That's an important.
Yeah.
That's important. So now you care about life.
Yeah, I care about life. Yes, I
Okay.
do.
You care. Now, do you have any children?
No, I don't.
You
have-
never had children.
never had
Okay.
any kids.
Okay.
Never had-
All right, but you care about life now.
Yes, I do.
That's a beautiful thing. So how did you reconcile? Well, we got 1 minute, so I'm not going to ask you that question. So take this last 60 seconds, Theodore Steele. Let me first say thank you for sharing your story. I know it was intimate. I know you were in prison most of your life. 28 years is a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
You've only been out 3 years. You look great, but wrap it up for the kids and the mothers of those boys going to prison. Tell them something. Tell them something important. Give them some hope.
I want to tell all the youngsters out there and the mothers and the families that there's hope, even in the darkest hours of your life. If you trust in God, no matter how or what you're going through in your life, He can bring you out of it. Any situation, He's the problem fixer. He can turn your life around with a blinking of an eye. He changed my life. And I give all the glory and all the honor to Him because He deserved all honor and all glory. He brought me through. Had it not been for the Lord on my side, I don't know where I would have been. But I know I wouldn't be right here, right now, if it wouldn't have been for God's grace. And I stand before you right today telling you that keep your hope alive and believe in yourself and God first. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. That was wonderful. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
We've got to help the children stay focused. We know when they're teenagers and they're hurting or confused or just want money fast, they will rob, steal, but that's no life. And if you can contact some of these good brothers that come on this show and tell their stories, I'm sure they'll minister to your children to try to help them understand that you got to care about life and care about the next person. I'm not sure how we make young people do that. I do it every day as a criminal defense lawyer. I try to make them care about what's going to happen 10 or 15 years from now, but I just think I'm getting too old to connect with them. But I'm getting the note to wrap up. And again, I say, Mr. Steele, thank you very much for sharing your story with us. Since you know my sometime co-host, Danny Sneed, I'm going to invite you back with Danny Sneed so that we can talk about what goes on inside the prison
Thank you.
instead of your journey.
I thank you for inviting me here, and it's been a blessing meeting you. And what you're doing for society and for other people, God will always have you close to His heart.
I hope so. I hope so, because I do
Thank
it
you.
because I care.
Thank you.
Remember, I want to tell your story. Good night. Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news.